Wondering if he was a reliever. Yeah, 30.
Right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Complete Game. I'm your host, Kurt Schilling, along with my oldest son, Garrick. What's up, G?
What's going on, everybody? How we doing?
Nobody's doing as good as this kid in Milwaukee.
Yeah, shaking Misiorowski.
We're gonna dive deep real quick here, but Garrick's gonna give me some numbers, G.
Well, Jacob started on Friday
Misiorowski, right?
on Misiorowski. I think it was Wednesday or Thursday now that we're listening. Or maybe Friday. Started against the Minnesota Twins, had 6 innings and a perfect game through that time. 6 Ks, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, 1 hit. Coming off his first start, where he also did not allow a hit through 5 innings. He had 5 Ks, no earned runs, and 4 walks. He is one of 4 guys since 1961 to start their career with no allowing no hits
Over 9 innings, first 9 innings.
for 9 innings plus. One of your former teammates, Randy Hennis, in
Randy
1990,
Hennis,
9 innings.
Houston Astros.
Mark Rogers in 2010 for the Brewers, ironically, went 9 1/3, and then Austin Cox for the Royals 2 years ago went 11 2/3. But the more recent guys are relievers, so
Right.
adds a little bit
And
more.
well, yeah, no, vastly different accomplishments, and,
Yeah,
and both are pretty awesome. But as a reliever, you come in, you go an inning and a third here, an inning there. Still hard to not give up hits, which is impressive. But this kid is something. And I wanted to, so that's kind of what we're going to talk about real quick on this show today.
and shout out Tim Palmer who brought the
Yep.
question to our
Appreciate the
attention
question.
because
Tim asked that on the YouTube feed. You guys are welcome to ask questions, and we'll get to them when appropriate and when applicable.
this is a kid that was well touted coming up and is now 2
Yep.
and 0 through 2 starts with a 1.64, 11 strikeouts, and a .55 WHIP. So
Right. So I
definitely worth talking about.
I went to the tape, so to speak. I'm going to start pulling my Gruden. I went to the tape. While I was expecting to see something that I didn't see, and and you guys, I know it's a broken record, talking about the max effort guys and all things that go with that. But I watched uh, I watched all of the highlights on in the film room and on YouTube, and Gary will link some stuff. But there's a strikeout in the one game where against the Twins. I think it's the second strike. He throws a 96-mile-an-hour cutter,
Filthy.
and I've seen it one time. I saw and the guy swings at it, and it almost hits him.
It's an accurate swing.
The only comparable thing I can ever remember is Byung Kim with the Diamondbacks threw a pitch, and I'm gosh dang it, forget it, to a guy at the Phillies, and and it was called his upshoot, and BK threw it from way down under, and the ball would break up. It was unique, and I saw a guy swing for strike three and get hit in the cup on the same pitch, which is probably the most humiliating strikeout in the history of baseball.
The way I would describe the swing is if you don't see it, the guy goes from intentionally swinging trying to hit a baseball and about halfway through realizes I have to play defense with my bat.
Yep. But I watched the video for you Milwaukee fans. There's a lot to love here. My picks would be nitpicks. The hard left fall off can be fixed easily to create more energy and actually get more velocity and command. Very good breaking ball, power 90 low 90s slider, power arm. The only worry, if I'm looking at this long term, is the body. He's a long, slender kid with a power makeup, and I would love to throw 20 pounds on him right now. But I'm sure, given the state of pitching in the game, he'll be monitored. 6 innings. He's walked five, but I don't care about that right now. Those first couple starts and nerves and whatnot. Got repeatable mechanics. Filthy stuff. He's 98 to 100. He's got a mid 90s slider or cutter. It's not a slider, it's a cutter. When it breaks on the same plane, it's a cutter. He's got a hard breaking slider that he throws in the low 90s, and he's got a very good 12-6 curveball. I haven't seen the changeup. I don't know if he has one. But this is a guy who I literally tape his fingers to the baseball and say, you're going to throw four-seam fastballs for the rest of your life. He throws too hard to be throwing a sinker, and his command gets good. This guy probably all pitchers in the big leagues included. Well, let's get rid of Scooble. Let's get rid of the premiers, right? Scooble, guys who with mechanics, good repeatable mechanics. There's as much upside in this kid as anybody in baseball. You're looking at 175 inning, 250 punch out. Let's put it this way: he throws 230 innings, he's going to blow away every strikeout record in the game with a four-seam fastball. But there's just monumental upside with this kid, and I'm sure he'll be managed right, and he'll be pitch count wise, be taken care of. But if I'm a Brewers fan, I'm ecstatic about what I just saw, and it's legit. It's legit. He's in the big leagues far too soon. All the things that you want to fix with him should be fixed in Double A and Triple A. But that's not the state of the game today. I don't want kids learning in the big leagues fundamental stuff, but it is what it is. So he's going to be a guy. There aren't a lot of guys that I would pay a ticket price today to see because I don't want to go watch a guy pitch for 5 innings. But this kid is one of those guys who like Randy Johnson, and I'm not comparing him to Randy in that sense, but you have a chance to see something you've never seen before every time he takes the ball. So it's exciting, it's fun, it's legit. Um, and like I said, I want to see him put on about 25 or 35 pounds to get to where he needs to be physically, which he'll naturally do, by the way. Um,
He's 23 years old, so
right,
he's a kid,
right,
even
right,
in my terms,
right.
which is crazy.
Right. And so there's a lot to love there. And
Only room to grow
right,
into that.
right. And it's coming from a solid foundation mechanically, which I love. Love to see him dial it back a little bit effort-wise because he still throws 100 if he throws it at 85%. But again, that's nitpicky stuff. So that is my goodness.
I know you had brought up. Did you want to continue talking about throwing at guys, the bench
Yeah.
clearing brawl
Well,
from last episode?
you guys have seen over the last couple of weeks a lot of by the way, Cal Raleigh hit his 31st today.
Yeah, monster.
And Otani just went deep.
Well, you
And the
heard Cal
Giants are
Raleigh hit a
pounding
homer.
the Red Sox 9-5. Let me check the box score real quick to see that
They were down.
Devers is 1 for 3.
Hit his first home run since
Schmidt is
being a
one for
Giant.
four.
Did you see at his first home run being a Giant yesterday?
Yeah. Oppo straight away.
Yep,
That's
that was a
well, it's also how you like how you always spot real power in hitters, guys that go
yeah,
Oppo and know it off the bat.
yeah, effortless.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Left-handed too is so much sweeter looking. I'm sorry,
yeah.
it just
Yeah,
is.
it is. It is. But
Throwing it, guys.
that's 9-5, top of the ninth, 2 outs, 2 on. Uh, looks like the Giants are going to close out. Robbie Ray didn't. Yeah, he pitched all right. Giolito did what he does, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, um, and by the way, and we may talk about this at a later time. There's more stuff pouring out of Boston about extreme amounts of dysfunction on every level of that organization, and it sucks because it shouldn't be the way. They have so much money, and they have so much passion from a fan base that it feels like they're missing an opportunity every year. They don't capitalize on that. The rumor I'm hearing, and I actually want to talk to you about this. I talked to somebody close to this, and apparently Duran is the next guy to go.
I brought up his name was getting floated right after. I thought it was hyperbolic Boston
Well,
media reaction, you know.
I'm frustrated. I don't know what the word is. So apparently, psychologically, there's problems. Which
With
anybody doesn't remember Duran?
Duran, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and that special last year,
Most people know that, I think.
right? I thought the all-inclusive baseball, you would take that as a challenge to the organization. Let's do what we can do to give this kid the best possible chance to succeed. A lot of people were making it sound like there was some Manny there. Like he just shows up some days and some days he doesn't. And I don't know. I'm just telling you what I heard. But that he is somebody that needs some assistance. clearly a phenomenal physical talent who's not, you know, the sad part about it, and I get it, sports is all about what have you done for me lately? We he was the same guy last year, wasn't he? Well,
Yeah.
no, I mean, but he did things that no one's ever done in the game before, and now he's not doing those things. And clearly, I don't know. I can't imagine after moving the Devers that they're in a position to just move away from another young stud.
Yeah. This
But
is the problem. This is what we talked about, though, that it's a pattern in Boston that with Mookie and Xander, and I mean, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. This has a different air around it than any of that other
right,
stuff
right.
because,
But my take is if you're uncomfortable with the psychology involved, fix it. You got money. Go, you sit down with the player and say, what do we need to do to make you okay here? And
I
if
mean,
he's
you,
I'm sorry to interrupt,
no, you
but
go.
real quick, the comeback that I got was he's not fit to play in this market, which, hey, I've seen it.
Yeah.
Might not be. But if that's the case, you sit him down and find out. And if it's you know what, I probably would be better off, and so would you guys if I was playing somewhere else. Or here's what I need, and obviously within reason. But I'm a little bothered by that conversation because I thought that was kind of jokey. I mean, I remember a year ago we're talking about this kid as if, my God, this is a five-tool Mike Trout level, can run, field, hit, do all this stuff, and now it's yeah, we're thinking about moving him.
I mean, how many of those have come through the Red Sox organization in the time since you've been there?
Yeah,
I mean, the Jacoby Ellsburys, there's 10 of them
yeah,
that they've prospects that have come up through the farm system and been like, this is going to be the cornerstone guy we build around. And it
yeah,
just 3 years out, they're gone.
yeah.
It's, I was going to say, it's one of those things where, especially when you're a Boston Red Sox organization, like we've given the Colorado Rockies and Baltimore Orioles and all these other franchises that are floundering tons of flack, but they don't have the same resources
Right,
that a Boston Red
right,
Sox do to make this type of thing work. I mean, this is also an era where this is a mental health thing or a whatever it may be. There's resources at your disposal now when
right.
you're one of the top five, three
Well,
spending
and
organizations.
I'm gonna touch on the periphery of politics. Boston has made everybody understand very comfortably that they're woke in the sense that, hey, pride and all this other stuff, which is fine. I don't care. I don't care about that stuff. But part of that movement is being there for those less advantaged, being there for those marginalized. And I thought what he did was incredibly fucking brave to come out and publicly tell people where he's been and where the ups and the downs. I love human beings like that. They're raw and they're truthful.
That's what people want to see. And that's, I mean, it's the
Yeah.
most exhausting part of media in baseball, especially is
Yeah.
the cookie cutter
Right.
answer. Like it's the type of guy you want,
Right.
raw,
Well, it's
emotion.
the
Like,
media loved me and hated me.
yeah,
I never gave you a yes no answer. I always went in depth. I was always, my dad was a man, why use 10 words when you can use five? And I was always, why use five when you can use 50? But I care about the things that I care about. And if you ask me about them, I'm going to answer them. He's very much the same way. Again, this is without stepping foot in that clubhouse. I don't know what the dynamics in the clubhouse are. If you've got a bunch of guys tiptoeing around because they're afraid, or guys acting in ways they can't be, or guys not getting comfortable because of whatever, then that's a different discussion. But I tend to side with the people questioning the Red Sox methods because they've been right. Apparently, Ortiz let go of all the messages he exchanged with Devers today.
yeah. He had another subtle post
I
about it as
believe
well.
that was in response to Pedro and Manny both coming out in Devers'
Yeah.
side.
Yep. Yeah, it's
And
basically saying the Red Sox were like this and have been like this to me,
yeah,
and that if you're not a hot commodity, they
right,
treat you like trash.
right,
Which, in experience, I mean,
right.
it can happen.
But
And it's again going. What I was trying to say before is you played in the era of we'll let some things slide if it means as long as you're that guy
right, right. Manny
162
Manny was Manny being Manny was funny when he was 335, 335, and
exactly.
145. The minute that stopped being the thing,
And this is the case now with the Red Sox
And
again.
that's not exclusive to Boston, guys.
That's
That's
what I'm
that's
saying. A
yeah,
top 3, 5 spender. Those
right,
teams, they make that stuff
right,
work. So again, there's a problem when it's the only constant variable in all these scenarios are the Boston Red Sox. There's
right.
something going
Well,
on.
my dad always said, right? If there's 95 problems and you're associated with all 95, maybe it isn't the problem, maybe it's you.
Yeah,
Right? Here's the difference too, and it's a great point you just made about the other teams. Boston can make a $315 million contract mistake. Colorado can't.
yeah.
Pittsburgh can't. It's so that's why they find themselves in the and this the Christian Campbell stuff is a great example. There's this move over the last 4 or 5 years to sign guys that they don't have to sign to 9 or 10 year deals. I get why they're doing it, but now he's in AAA with a what is it, a $60 million contract,
Yep.
and I don't, again, not knowing the player, I'm very cautious about recommending anything because I think if he wasn't, well, I'll tell you this, he had far too few at bats in the minor leagues. I haven't even looked at his numbers, don't know what it is.
But you can do this stuff and make these mistakes when you're the Red Sox, when you're the Yankees, but when you're the Rockies and you sign Chris Bryant, you can bury your franchise for 3 to 5 years. The Red Sox won't get the type of flack they deserve for this because
Right.
they can spend their way out of these financial mistakes.
Where the hell and high water will come is if they're not monstrously aggressive either at the deadline or this
And
offseason.
that's the other part of it. They can always fall back on the we're doing this in preparation to go out and get a Mike Trout, Chris Bryant if you're the Rockies at that time. Someone that if that doesn't even land, like we have another plan we can have in place because we have that type of financial fallback. Whereas the Rockies, the
Well,
Orioles, these
and
other
look at,
teams, they aren't
my,
going to have a full ballpark, 150 games, no matter what the team
I
looks
look
like.
at, excuse me, Skeens and Crochet as my dad used to say, tits on a bull. They're useless in the situations they're in. Paul Skeens could conceivably it's a stretch. Could conceivably win the Cy Young with a losing record.
Yeah.
Nolan Ryan was 9-16, led the league in ERA one year. Like
Who
we're
was it? DeGrom. Someone
well,
almost said
yeah,
that
it was
recently.
like 12-11.
Yeah.
A couple of guys have won. Seattle.
I was gonna
Uh,
say there's a couple.
Hernandez, Felix
Felix
Hernandez.
Hernandez. Yep,
Yeah.
that's another one.
But that was, I think, a good thing in the sense that sabermetrics started catching up with the awards in that,
Yeah.
oh, this guy was
It's not
13 and
just 20
12,
wins.
but he was phenomenal, right? Zach Greinke won one year when he didn't have the wins, but he had the other numbers, and I like that. I
Yeah.
like that. That's a big thing. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
love
the
that stuff.
Duran stuff I thought was kind of interesting. So guess
Did,
your teammate.
did you want to talk about the hitting guys or
You
you
know
want
what?
to
We'll save
stay
that
it for
for
a next one?
Tuesday.
Okay.
Save that. We're going to talk Tuesday, guys. We're going to talk about all the hit by pitches, the bench clearing stuff, and why it's happening. It's another byproduct of the game and the state of pitching. But we'll get to
And
that
I
Tuesday.
also have some questions in that realm
Oh
of
yeah.
stuff that people definitely always wonder about
Yep.
because baseball bench clearing balls are very different from every other sport.
Yep.
Like NBA, you're right there on the court.
Yep.
Hockey, you're actually going to fight.
Right.
Football, those guys have weapons on them and are 300 pounds. It's all different. The dynamics of the bullpen running out is
Right.
funny as
It's
hell.
funny that you rarely ever see an actual punch land or thrown.
But then there are ones that you're like, oh shit, that
Yep.
was awesome.
Yep.
But yeah, that's gonna be a topic for next episode. But yeah, we'll do guess your teammate right now. We got 5 clues ranging from vague to very obvious. It's a former teammate of my dad's. Uh, every time. So this one I wanted to give you a little hint up front too. This guy, I actually loved this guy and remember meeting him. So that should give you a little clue as to my age. So the most vague clue. A 14-year career, I split my time almost evenly between the American and National League, 8 years in the National League, 6 years in the American League, where I played infield and outfield at times and even recorded an out as a pitcher one time.
David McCarty.
Nope. Although we were teammates for parts of 3 seasons, you were actually really my teammate for one season in particular that matters, my rookie campaign in 2003.
Junior Spivey.
Nope. Although never
Teammate in 2003.
teammate in 2003. Yeah.
Okay.
And his rookie campaign, official rookie campaign. Although never an all-star, I had 7 seasons with over 30 doubles, including one with 53 doubles and 6 seasons of 60 plus RBIs.
Lyle Overbay?
Lyle Overbay. I loved Lyle Overbay. I remember
Oh God.
we were in Toronto. I
You,
met him. He was
you know
very
what
cool.
I remember about him? He comes up his rookie year in 2003. Beautiful swing. Hit like 273 and got sent down.
Yeah.
Like, and I remember Bob Brenly saying that he was like, I mean, he was a tremendous defender, really quiet kid, but incredibly talented. And like, it was one of those, it didn't make a lot of sense what had happened.
Yep.
But,
Then he got traded to the Brewers,
yep,
and that was the 53 double
yeah,
campaign. He hit 307. He was a
yep,
monster.
he could hit.
But
Line
I,
over.
I
I didn't know the
remember
pitching thing.
he had a one out as a pitcher.
Yeah, I didn't know the pitching thing.
Um, but very cool. In 2007 when we went, the only time he faced you, he was over three. But I met him before the game, and he was very cool to me.
Yeah, very nice
Um,
guy.
and I wanted to mention that it was very funny that he was traded. Oh, it's on my phone, not in here. Hang on one sec. He was traded in '03. Do you know who with?
No, but I know why he was traded
Do you know who for?
to the
Another
Brewers.
another throwback this era name that was never like the guy, but was awesome during this era.
Didn't him and Junior go?
I was gonna say you mentioned one of the guys that went. It was Craig Counsell, Junior Spivey, Chris Capuano, Chad Muller, Jorge De La Rosa
For Richie Sexton.
for Richie Sexton.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Richie Sexton was awesome
yeah.
during that mid 2000s
Yep.
period, and such a name that he'll never be
Well, that
like.
that was why I got traded. They told me that winter that they were financially in a situation where they had to move contract. They just signed Gonzo, and we won the '01. We got knocked out in '02, and in '03, I spent most of the year bouncing around the DL because I broke my hand. I had an appendectomy, weird stuff, but I pitched really well. And they had told me that, and Joe, God bless his heart, I love Joe Gary's Jr., had told me that financially they couldn't keep my contract. They had RJ and they had Gonzo's deal, so they had to move a deal contract, so it ended up being a very amicable thing to get traded. But then they turn around and move those 4 or 5 guys for Sexton,
Yeah,
and Richie didn't have the career he should have had in
he
Arizona.
wasn't the same guy he was in
No,
Milwaukee.
great dude though,
Yeah,
monster, 6'7", huge
just
guy.
just in that ilk of like Troy Gloss and guys that they're not Hall of
What
Famers,
I learned,
but they were awesome
what I
to
learned
watch back in
from
the day.
Richie Sexton was almost what I learned from Mark Lemke and small hitters. Big, tall, long hitters in the big leagues can hit the ball in because their arms are long and everything, for the most part, is on the inner part of the plate. Even when they swing naturally, they're extending out the plate away. So every swing they take, they have to pull their hands in. So it's a natural act for them. And if they can't do it, they don't get to the big leagues. So when you see big guys in the big leagues that don't stand far from the plate, that are kind of middle of the box, you realize, okay, if I go in, I gotta get it in and I can't miss because these guys are comfortable hitting the ball like that. So
Yeah. Especially when they have you expect a lot of those guys to have a very lateral
yeah,
swing,
yeah, yeah.
but like Vladdy and Troy Gloss and those guys that really swung down on the ball, like watching them hit was so fun.
Backspin.
Yeah.
And we're gonna close with, this is a picture of my granddaughter right here. That is Blair Schilling, the most gorgeous thing you've ever seen. Uh, she is doing amazing. Did I mention Otani homered already? Yeah, I did, didn't I?
Yeah,
We'll
Tony.
be back on Tuesday, guys. Take care. Have a great one.
Thanks for listening.